Hi everyone, today I'm here with another unhaul video. I've got three categories here with me today. There's not too many books this time, but I'm still not going to be talking too much into detail. So I've got three categories. Like I said, there's some middle grades, there's also YA fantasy from Fairyloot mostly, and there's also the three DNFs from last year. So let's get started. I'm going to start with the DNFs. First one is The Way of All Flesh by Ambrose Parry, which was supposed to be like a Victorian murder mystery thing set in Scotland, but I couldn't care less. I didn't read too much of it, but I don't know whether I was just not in the mood for it or I just found it too bleak and just decided not to carry on with it, unfortunately, but I had high hopes for it. Next one is The Magic Toy Shop by Angela Carter. I did not like being in the head of the main character. I just didn't like it at all, and I couldn't care less halfway through the book. Even for a small book, I just couldn't care less, so DNF'd it. And then we've got a rather disappointment for me is Once Upon a River by Diane Sedfield. I really loved 13th Tale by the author. And I did enjoy Belmont Black as well, but this one was just too slow. Again, I don't know whether I was not in the mood to read this one, although I think I did pick it up based on my mood, but it was just too slow. The writing was too flowery, I kept being distracted, and then I just could not get through it. I was sort of interested in the plot, but it just wasn't enough to keep me going, so I DNF'd it, unfortunately. Another one is actually not a YA fantasy, but I forgot that it was there. It is Time and the Gods by Lord Dunsany. I got it from a box of stories, and I think he's a really beloved author, but it's a collection of fantasy short stories. I don't like short stories at the best of times, and a fantasy short story just doesn't sound like something I'm going to enjoy. Plus I sort of read the beginning of a few of them and I just thought it's really not for me. So I'm getting rid of this one too. I used to be subscribed to Fairyloot, the YA box, young adult box, but I stopped ages ago and I still have 4 books that I haven't read, and now honestly I've lost all the interest for them, so I'm gonna be unhauling them. But the first one is The Stormcrow by Kaylin Josephson. A bit dusty. But this one was like an extra book in one of the boxes, and it was supposed to be coming out in July 2019, so I probably got it in something like 2018. And as you can see, it's 2023 and I haven't read it, and I've got no interest in this one, unfortunately. Even though it does sort of sound interesting, it's just one of those things that I've looked at it a few times on my shelf and thought I'm not interested in it at all, so it's going. But it's something to do, as you can see, with crows, and there's the kingdom, there's magic to do with crows. It's sort of dying, but they now found an egg, so something might be reborn again. It does sound interesting, but I don't know, I'm just not a massive fan of young adult fantasy anymore, so I do still read it on occasion, but nowhere near as much as I sort of used to. So yeah. Next one is Wicked Fox by Kat Cho. It's got sprayed edges and everything, and I think it's also signed. Yes, it is signed, so it's always a shame for me to get rid of books like this, but like I said, if I'm not interested, why would I keep it on my shelf if it's something I'm probably not gonna enjoy? And I haven't really heard great things about either of these, or in fact all of the ones that I'm unhauling today, so unfortunately this is going. I know it's based on, I think, Korean mythology, and we've got the main character who's got like 7 tails or something of a fox, and she's got like magic powers of a fox, and it's a little bit like romantic as well, but I'm not interested. I know it's also an urban fantasy. I'm sorry, I'm just not interested in this one. Then I've got The Merciful Crow by Margaret Owen, and again, just not interested. I don't quite remember what this book's about, but I've heard it's got really weird writing, and from what I've heard about the writing, I'm not going to enjoy the book. And then we've got Nocturna by Maya Montaigne. Again, sprayed edges and everything, and it's signed and everything, I think. Yeah, it is signed, so it does feel like such a shame to get rid of signed books, but I'm just not interested. I think it's again, some generic, it sounds a bit generic to me. Faceless Thief, A Desperate Prince, A Darkness Unleashed. I think there's something to do with magic that now is gone all bad, or something bad has been let out and whatnot. I don't know. I'm not intrigued by this one at all, and I'd rather read something I'm actually gonna be hopefully enjoying. But this one's just not attracting my attention, I'm afraid. So it's going. Now moving on to the middle grade section. 3 of them I haven't read and the rest of them I have read. I'm gonna start with Warrior Cats by Erin Hunter. As a massive cat lady, I just bought it on the whim at some point thinking, oh, I might enjoy it. But that was a few years ago. And like I said before many times, I've sort of lost interest in middle grade too much. So this one just doesn't sound appealing to me. And plus I read the first chapter and it just didn't interest me. So I decided to give it away. But it's literally about cats and the clans and them fighting together and stuff like that. So it just doesn't sound interesting to me anymore. Then I've got The Unadoptables by Hannah Took. This one I did read and I gave this one 3 stars, I think, so it's nothing I'm ever going to reread, but it was nice at a time. I did struggle with it, I did think of DNFing it, but I decided to not DNF it and just kept reading it. But it is about 5 children who are orphans and they haven't been able to be adopted for a while, and now there's this dangerous man who wants to adopt them all, but they don't trust him. There seems to be something off about him, so they do not want to be adopted, and instead they go on an adventure hiding and whatnot. So it was good, but I know it also caused a lot of controversy about the name and things like that, which I'm not going to go into detail, but yes, I just don't particularly want it. Then I've got 3 books by the same author. It is Sophie Anderson. I'm afraid I really loved her The House with Chicken Legs book. It was a little bit creepy, it was very interesting, it was like a creepy middle grade, which I do enjoy those. And obviously A House with Chicken Legs, we've got there like a witch character who is essentially helping the souls of the dead to go to the other side, which sounds great, and it was very atmospheric and very lovely and wholesome, and also talks a lot about grief in a way as well. But so I wanted to like all of the other books by her, but I didn't. I read 2 of them. I read these 2, so I read The Girl Who Speaks Bear and The Castle of Tangled Magic. This one I also considered DNFing, but decided to persevere with it for some reason. But yeah, it didn't do me much. I think I gave it 2 stars, and this one I think I gave 3 or 2 stars as well. They all are based on Slavic mythology, so there's a lot of that, so I should enjoy those because it's close to home and everything, but I don't find them interesting. But again, it's like an adventure type middle grade fantasy that I'm just not into anymore. And so I DNF'd another book by her that I didn't even read. That is The Thief Who Sang Storms. Unfortunately, this one is a signed edition as well, so I feel bad about getting rid of it. But it's going to go to a charity or somewhere, so hopefully somebody else will appreciate it. But I have no interest, and I think I'm done with Sophie Anderson as well. Unless she writes another creepy middle grade, or in the creepy vibes, that'd be great. So apart from that, not interested anymore. And then the last 2 are by the same author as well, and that's Michael Morpurgo. So we've got A Medal for Leroy and The Amazing Story of Adolphus Tips. They are both they're cute stories. I always enjoy them. They sometimes make me cry, they're really emotional, but I don't rate them higher than 4 stars normally. I think one of them I did rate 4 stars and the other probably 3 stars, but looking back on them now, I think both of them, to be honest, will be like a 3-star book, because they're really nice and really lovely, but it's just not something I'm ever going to reread. I do have quite a few books left on my TBR by this author that I will be reading at some point when I'm in the mood for it, but I just don't want to keep them because I'm not interested in those. So these 2 will be going at some point as well. I hope nobody's going to get offended because it's just my opinion and I haven't read half of them, so please don't hate me if I've gotten rid of one of your favourite books. So yeah, we all have different opinion and they're all valued. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video, and if you did, please like it if you want to. But yes, that's it for this video. Thank you for watching. Bye!